Hi everyone, my name is Syphyt, and I'm the social media coordinator for Triumph. Today I'm interviewing Brandon Padilla, also known as Thibbledork, on his past with Triumph and his future in esports. The first question is super simple. Who is Thibbledork?
I figure the best way to talk about who I am is to talk about who I've been up until recently. I started as a writer for a website called Overwatch Score back in 2017. It's a relatively small site, volunteer crew, the whole deal. I worked with them for several months doing recaps, some standard breaking news, and some features and interviews. I eventually worked my way up to editor-in-chief there for a very limited time before being spotted by a website called The Game House, which I still work for technically right now. Doing more features, more interviews, more regular structured content for more money, which is always nice. I jumped in and started helping them with social media and decided that I really liked that and that I should try and do it in a more dedicated sense. I originally put out a call to be a coach for a tier 3 team to kind of see if I could branch into the scene that way. But then people realized I had no experience and was hard stuck in plat, and they decided maybe that's not the best, but my Twitter looks pretty good, so why don't you do social media? So I started doing that. Had a couple potential leads for a couple open division teams at that time before I was approached by Triumph, which we will probably get to in a little more detail soon. I joined them and helped out with like initial branding and voicing and deciding how they wanted to run their social presence on the site before being recommended to the Florida Mayhem. So now I am joining them a week from today, as of the time of this recording, to be their junior social media manager. And that is where I'm at right now.
It's really awesome that you've managed to make a name for yourself. How did you get into Triumph?
So when I put out that I was looking to coach for teams, and they all started saying, "No, you're weird. Why would you ask that? You're in plat." Word got around basically that I was looking around for work to do, and I was approached by a guy named Pure, who was formerly with GGEA but was starting up a new organization with a really big vision. He wanted people who were experts in their role, extremely proficient, people who were capable of putting out OWL-level work at a tier 3 billing rate, let's say. He knew we were going to start small, but definitely not end that way. And he wanted me to be a part of that. He gave me this whole spiel about, developing an organization that was something greater, something more transparent, something more comprehensive, something that understood the value of marketability and content alongside their competitive efforts, while also making sure that the competitive aspect maintained professionalism and a good work ethic and all of those things that you need to truly be successful. Less a player-run meme team and more a proper structural enterprise, as he put it. That reached out to me in a lot of ways. I was really nervous about joining Tier 3 as an amorphous blob of a scene that was largely run by people making maybe some memes that maybe they shouldn't if they want full-time jobs in an industry, or saying things they shouldn't, or doing things they shouldn't. Tacking my name onto organizations like that seemed a bit nerve-wracking to me, and I really struggled with a couple like loose offers I got. Like, is this really going to be good for me, like as a brand? And Brad Pure and Triumph as a whole seemed like the best option out of all of them by a lot. And I said, man, you've got a really big vision, and I'll try it, but who knows? This seems really ambitious, and I don't know if I'm necessarily your guy. And Brad basically said, shut up, you'll be fine, get in here. So I did, and I'm very glad that I did. It went very well.
What has been your greatest challenge working for Triumph?
Definitely that ambition that I talked about, the scope that we've always wanted to bring to people. We want to be a team that has a consistent content schedule and is doing really well, performing on all cylinders at all times, maintaining mental health, making sure the players are taken care of and that they know it, making sure the staff is taken care of and they know it, including myself. A lot of that, I mean, everybody wears many hats in this level and pretty much at any level in esports, really. So joining the team became, okay, you're going to be our guy who's posting to places like Twitter and Instagram and everything, but we also need your help to come up with content, develop a calendar, work on some Trello boards, attend meetings with the team, attend meetings with the staff, make sure the team is not imploding or anything like that. You know, as one of the not quite founding members, but almost immediately after the original founders, I was given a lot of that responsibility, especially as we tacked on new people. As I developed my seniority, I was given more to do to make sure that the organization was running smoothly, at least from a content perspective. I mean, I'm no analyst, I'm no mental health advisor, I am not a big Overwatch player, remember, hard stuck in plat. But what I can do is develop branding, make sure our voicing is on point, make sure our memes are not going to get us blacklisted anywhere, and generally keep the boat afloat from a public-facing perspective. So a lot of that was given to me. The team gradually expanded, especially in this season, to accommodate for that. And generally, I think it's gone okay. It's certainly a challenge to maintain that level of consistency and excellence when you're working jobs. Most of them don't pay you at all. You're going to school, you're dealing with, you know, family and a girlfriend and anything else you might have going on in your life. You know, stacking all of those, spinning all those plates is definitely a challenge. But in and of itself, it's very rewarding if you've got the time and the money, because it's expensive.
What does Triumph have that other companies don't, especially in esports?
Let's see. It's easy to just say professionalism, which is a very umbrella term and could maybe be considered a jab at certain other organizations that feel they don't have it. I think it's an understanding of what it takes to move upward. You know, it's one thing and a big thing to win games, be competitive, have flashy plays that, you know, get clipped and show up and things of that nature. That gets you fans in a big way. Being marketable in that way is very important. But it's also a matter of making sure it's almost basically Triumph has a good understanding of PR beyond the game. You have to have players who are fairly articulate, intelligent, know what to say and what not to say in public and in private, because word gets around. And in general, the staff, especially Brad and Epic, had a really good understanding from their past experience of I know why the players who have made it into the Overwatch League have made it, and I know why the players who haven't. We are going to try and cultivate the good stuff in these players and really squash the bad stuff, because we know what will cost them their jobs, and we know what will get them their jobs. And I certainly think a lot of organizations do not have people who have been in the scene that long, who know those things and have those connections, and they're, you know, figuring out as they go, which is fine, but it certainly cuts down on the time if we have people who know that stuff already. So they came in and started developing a staff and a roster and specifically looking out for those things and saying, what you're doing here is good. Keep doing that. That will get you a job. Or what you're doing here will get you blacklisted forever. You will never get anything you want if you keep that up. So knock it off. And a lot of the players and staff are extremely receptive to that, which is obviously really important because we all want to get paid. But in general, it also shows these guys are professional, and like I said, going back to that intellect, that understanding of you have to do more than just click heads to make it into the Overwatch League. So much more. There are things you have to cultivate as a player, as a team member, as a brand, and we as a staff had a very good understanding of that and still do.
Next question is going to be, what's next for you?
Oh, that's open-ended. Frankly, I'm not sure. There are a few things I know and a few things I don't. Obviously, I'm going to be working with Florida Mayhem, junior social media management. I will be working under our social media manager, Dom, our creative director, Rachel, and alongside our graphic designer, Anthony, who most of the people watching will probably know. He used to work for Triumph.
People know Anthony Overwatch.
Right, yeah. The Mayhem's one fan, the guy. There's two now. There's me, too.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm going to fix that. There will be multitudes soon. That's a big goal for me, honestly. You know, stepping into this role, I want to bring fans back. I know it's very easy to not like the Mayhem right now, but there are stories to tell. There are people here that you can like, that are likable. I mean, I guess that's the easiest way to put it. These guys just need someone to tell their stories in a compelling way. So I want to be that guy. That's kind of a goal for me. Long term, I mean, I'm taking my first trip down to LA with some of my stuff tonight. After we're done recording this interview, pretty much I am leaving. So first trip bring the essentials, pack a night bag. I've got a meeting tomorrow with the team. My first day is the 27th, and that's when the real work begins. We start hammering out whatever, filling in the calendar, doing those sorts of things, planning for events. We'll be staying in LA until at least the end of this season. After that, geolocation happens, and I assume I move to Florida, which is terrifying because I don't like mosquitoes or hurricanes or old people. And then after that, I keep working. You know, I'm down to stick with the mayhem for as long as possible. I'm really happy with the team so far from my interactions with them. Despite what anyone might meme on, these guys are properly competent at their jobs, which is good. I double checked. They're fine. So I am totally down to keep plugging away with these guys and make some awesome content.
I guess that brings us to our next question, which is, what do you see yourself doing in 3 years?
Oh, it's a really difficult question for me. I usually wake up and then figure out what I'm going to do. You know, like day to day, I'm just like, what's going on today that I have to do? Maybe I'll plan out for a week or a month or something, but generally I've never had the time. It's always been, I have 5 different projects to work on. Which ones can I hit today? Which ones do I need to hit today? Do I have a writing deadline? Is there a major social media event that I need to be following? Are there Overwatch League games? Do I have an exam tomorrow? Like, that has decided everything I do for the past 2.5 years at least. As far back as 6, frankly. That's kind of just always been how I've operated because I am constantly laying the tracks as I go. That might change now. I'm working on one project. They enjoy having formal structure, so we aren't, you know, a major clown fiesta all the time. And that will allow me to maybe plan a little further ahead in terms of my content and in terms of what I'm doing with my life in general. Ideally, I can leverage that and actually know like what I'm doing for more than, you know, a 6-hour window at a time or anything. Mm-hmm. But to actually answer the question, I guess in 3 years, regardless of who I'm with or where I'm at, I want to be able to wake up every day and say, my job is to go do video games, talk about video games, write about video games, make videos, do interviews, social media, you know, broadcasting. I've done casting, I've done analysis on the desk, I've done hosting, you know, branching into those if I need to is not out of the question. If I get really, really good at social media, I want to move up in social media and make a name for myself in that way. I want to be a storyteller. I want to take these people's lives, which sounds weird and pervasive. I want to take their lives in my hand and show it to you in a way that you enjoy, that is not like stalkery, you know, like there's more to a player. Well, let's put it this way. There is the gameplay aspect of a player that makes them compelling from a competitive standpoint. And then there's the personal aspect of a player that makes them compelling as a person. I want to be able to weave those together. I usually focus more on the latter because I'm better at kind of fleshing out questions for that, because remember, I'm in Plat. So it's a lot easier for me to talk to people about their feelings, their lives, their families, their history than, well, how did you do this play on this map at this time? You know, a lot of that is lost on me, and that's something I can work on too. But I know where my strengths are, and that's really what I'm going to focus on wherever that takes me. It could go anywhere. It's esports. I mean, anything could happen at any time. So in a sense, I have to keep laying the tracks, but I'm going to try and have more of a plan.
I've definitely seen you really pave the road as you go, as you say, and I know it's stressful for you doing everything that you do, so it's so glad to see you actually cut down on the stuff that you do and get a hold of things. It's going to be interesting to see how you manage your time now, though.
It is. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like, there's obviously a scheduled amount of time I need to be at work and working, and that's great. I'm really happy for that. But then the rest of the time, like, there aren't 4 other Twitter accounts to manage. There are no writing deadlines. There is no homework. There are no tests. It's like that takes up a lot of time, and now it's gone. It's all gone. So I'm gonna go like watch movies when I want. I'm gonna go out to eat or hang out with friends. Mm-hmm. Like things I haven't really been able to do very much without extensive scheduling that usually doesn't work because we're adults and you know how that goes. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that shakes out.
It will. And I just want to thank you, Brandon, for your time. I know I won't be the only one to think that I can't wait to see what you do with the Florida Mayhem on their social media team. And yeah, we'll be back with more Triumph talks.
Thanks for having me.